Welcome to Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your racket. My buddy Chris Lawson questioned me today about unpopular rackets out there. Stay tuned. My buddy Chris Lawson constantly has these great questions that I love to share with you guys. So, and here is another one from him. Let's see what my man says. So his title is Unpopular Racket Brands, but are they good? Let's see exactly what he's asking. I know Prince rackets have made a comeback, and I've heard they're good. But what about other brands that you never hear much about? Like Prokenix, for example. Do they have a racket that can hang with the likes of Head, Wilson, etc.? And also, I heard of Donné. Are they still making rackets? What do we not hear about them? And are they any good? Would love to see that brand, which once ruled the racket world, back in the tennis eye again. Well, that is all great questions. So I'm going to ponder on this for a little bit, hit my Pete's for a little bit here. I got some kind of autumn blend today. It's called Vine and something. And this is actually really smooth and light. So for my buddy Andy out there who always watches me, my review of this Vine, I actually like this. It's not a dark roast. It's like a medium roast, but it's the autumn blend. It's great. If you want to support my autumn blend habit, its network is buymeacoffee.com/tennis spin. Link is below. All right. So brands and tennis rackets. Okay, so we know Babolat, we know Wilson, we know Head. So we know Rafa, we know Fed, we know Joker. Those are the faces of those three brands. And that's what makes the brands popular. When your favorite tennis player is hitting with a particular brand, that basically cinches it for you, right? They brought validity to the brand, and like, who doesn't want to hit like Roger, right? So Wilson Pro Staff RF Edition, always going to be like a top 5, top 10 seller just because Roger uses it. That's just plain and simple. Roger popularizes his racket. Novak the same. Rafa, Banana Arrow, the same. You know, he's got his Rafa edition going right now. And those sell because you see Rafa swinging it around. But what about the lesser known rackets? Like Artango that you see, the Vocals that you see, the Prokenix and the Donnés that, you know, Donné was popular. I mean, when let's say the Rafa of the late 80s and in the 90s was using it, his name was Andre Agassi, right? With his rebel attitude and his kind of outlandish dress, which we all love. We all wanted to be Andre back then. So a lot of the marketing basically helps with the sales, right? Donné kind of came out of nowhere back then and became a dominant force in tennis rackets. Now, Donné actually has been back, I want to say about 15 years ago, and they came back with a solid state racket. So instead of being hollow, they were actually solid, but they were thinner. So it was actually players' rackets that they had, and then they came out with what kind of looked like a Pure Drive in 100 square inch form, almost the same specs. Didn't really quite take off, the brand is still in existence with a couple of those frames, except that they just don't have the popularity because there's no touring pro using it. So in order for these companies to be, I don't want to say relevant, but they need to be out in the limelight. They need to be under the US Open lights or some of the Grand Slam lights in order to be, at the forefront, in order to be in your face. But every racket company does and will make great rackets. It's just that it's not Babolat. I told you that Babolat has superstar status. 9 out of 10 people that walk in, first words out of their mouth, "You got a Babolat? I play with a Babolat." It's just, that is the nature of the racket beast right now. It's just everybody is into this Babolat phase. At least out here it is. So people like Vocal, these guys have been around for, I want to say, close to 30 years. Because I remember I was in a tennis shop when the rep walked in with these and said, "Hey, we have Vocal rackets." And I was like, "You guys are a ski company?" Like, "Yeah, no, we deal with graphite. So graphite in the skis, graphite in the racket." So, hey, and I was like, "Yeah, whatever, you're not going to last." But it's like close to 30 years later, and they're still in existence. Rackets are still good. They actually signed some pros back in the day. Peter Korda, my girl, Martina Hingis used them. She might still use them, actually. But Vocal kind of, these guys like Vocal, Procanex, even Artango, they only have a certain amount of budget in order to sign on pros, because the better the pro you sign on, the more they cost. But everybody makes good rackets. Whether they are suited for you or not is up to you to determine. So for those of you who actually go and seek out other brands, a lot of you guys are pleasantly surprised. But for those of you who just want to follow the Joneses and just get a Babolat Pure Drive or a Pro Staff, are you missing out? You might be, because there's a lot of rackets out there, and everybody makes a great racket. Whether it's suited for you or not, it's for you to determine and try out. Okay? So, guys, if you're looking for a new racket, test out other brands. They're great. Like I said, everybody makes a great racket. Vocal goes from like a 1 to a 10. 10 being the most flexible and the 1 being the most powerful. So there's at least 10 rackets in the line. There's more like 20. But try it out for yourself and see what you like. Artango, I call this the Artango Pure Drive, except that it's half the price. So, and you can grab this over at the Decathlon store or online at the Decathlon website. All right. So, Chris, thanks for the great question. Hopefully I gave you a little bit of insight on some of the not so well-known brands out there that are still in existence. Thank you for watching Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis.